Hey guys, it's Greg from GSG Training. A quick follow-up video from the one on the first aid instructor that I put out a couple of weeks back. We've had a little bit of interest in the Assessors Qualifications, so I thought I'd better do a little video on that. So, most of the people that have been in touch with me have questions about which qualification they need to get, and they don't understand the levels or the terminology. So I'm going to cover some of that just now. Hopefully it should answer all your questions. If it doesn't, then ping me an email as usual or give me a phone and I will answer it in person. So starting off, qualifications have changed. In old money, we used to have the A1 and the V1, which were the Assessor's Qualification and the Internal Verification Qualification. That's changed a little bit, and you'll hear people talking about TAQA or CAVA, and it starts to get a little bit complicated. So, what does TAQA stand for? Well, TAQA stands for Training, Assessment and Quality Assurance, and basically what it does is it is an umbrella for everybody's qualifications to fit into the one thing and make it easier for us to talk about. It doesn't actually refer to any specific qualification, but it is a suite of qualifications which all fit together. They've got different acronyms, so you've got UPPA, AVRA, ACWE, CAVA and IQA. They're all complicated, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down each one of the qualifications. I apologise for the length of the video, but it's a little bit complicated. So I'm going to break down the qualifications. I'm going to discuss the different sides of each qualification, and hopefully that'll get you to where you need to be. So let's start with the assessor qualifications. Okay, so this is the assessing side only. If you've watched the video on first aid, I've discussed the training side. So we're going to talk in this video about assessors and internal quality assurance. So starting with the assessor's qualification. So there are 3 units which go together to make up your assessor's qualification. First unit is understanding the principles and practice of assessment. I spoke about this in the first aid video. Now this is a knowledge-based unit and is usually completed through distance learning. The second unit is assessing occupational competence in the work environment. Now, this is a practical-based unit and requires site observations from your course assessor, and you'll need to produce a portfolio of evidence. You'll also have to have access to 2 learners in that environment. This unit covers assessors looking to assess in the workplace environment, as it says. For example, apprenticeships, social care, any of the vocationally based qualifications or NVQs. Thing to remember about this is the majority of courses offered by trainers cannot get this qualification. You have to have work-based learners, okay? There can be no simulations with this. You have to have your assessor coming into a workplace environment and dealing with a learner in their own workplace. The third unit covers the other side of the coin. So that's assessing vocational skills, knowledge and understanding. Now this is a practical based unit also, and it does require site observations, but not in a workplace. Your qualified assessor could come and watch you putting on a compliance course, first aid, COSH, any of the classroom based stuff. Again, you're required to build a portfolio of evidence, and you do require access to 2 learners, and it has to be in a classroom based environment. So if you're not delivering classroom based qualifications, you can't apply for this unit. So those are the units that make up the qualifications. Now you know a little bit about them, let's have a look at the actual certification you can achieve. So if you do the level 3 award in understanding the principles and practices of assessment, as I've already said, this is a knowledge-based course. It contains all the stuff from the academic side, okay? we look at different aspects of assessment, and the learner comes out with a better understanding of assessment practices, the cycle, and the types of assessment that you can use when you're working with your learner. Now, the important thing to remember is this is not actually qualifying you to assess. As much as it does help improve your skills for first aid, it doesn't actually qualify you as an assessor. It's used by a lot of people either to upskill the old petals or to more and more awarding organisations are looking at us to improve ourselves with continuous professional development. So it's a fantastic qualification for CPD. But as I say, it doesn't actually qualify you to assess. Next, we have the Level 3 award in assessing competence in the work environment. Pretty self-explanatory. It's made up of Unit 1, which is the principles and practices, and 2, actually putting together your portfolio and assessing the work environment, in the working environment. Now, it only qualifies you for that. It doesn't actually cover you for classroom-based learning. When you're completed it, you'll be able to assess learners by observing them in their workplace, examining the quality of their work, conducting oral and written questioning, having discussions with the learner, but it's all based around working practices. So it would be for apprenticeships or NVQs rather than the RQF system. The next one we're going to look at is the 2 units which make up the qualification, the award in assessing vocationally related achievement. Now, this is the classroom-based unit. This is the one that the majority of compliance trainers are looking at. This qualification deals with the assessment of learners in a learning environment, further education, and covers most of your compliance stuff. Very handy for marking online. There's a lot of jobs available just now, marking, going as online markers or helping out in schools and further education, stuff like that. Again, this is the other side of the coin. You will not be able to assess anybody in the work environment. This is basically simulation of and checking the knowledge retention on short courses. So you'll be setting assignments, skill tests, oral written questions, projects, case studies, and working with RPL, that sort of stuff. That's the kind of assessing that you're going to be doing in this. Final qualification in the assessor suite is the Level 3 certificate. Notice it's not an award, it's a certificate in assessing vocational achievement. Now, this is the CAVA. This is the all whistles and bells. This qualifies you for everything. You will be required to complete all 3 units, and therefore you will need 2 learners from a work environment and 2 learners from the classroom-based learning. Again, you will require the course assessor to come and visit you on site as you're delivering stuff. Okay, so that's the assessing qualifications. Now, the next part so we've done the training in the first aid video. I've just covered the assessing, and now we're going to look at quality assurance, which is the last part of the TAQA. So what is the quality assurance? You'll hear us talking about IQA, and that's becoming more and more important. IQA stands for Internal Quality Assurance. Again, it's about there's different ways that you can do it, and they're conducted slightly differently from the assessor's qualifications. First thing to understand is that they've been put in place to assure standardized learning so that everybody is working from the same hymn sheet when it comes to delivery across your company. So if you've got 5, 6, 7 trainers or assessors, you need everybody to be working to the same standards, understanding that the specifications for each qualification, how they're laid out, and how you're actually going to assess them. This is the IQA qualifications are level 4, not level 3, so you'll be required to work at a higher level than probably most of the qualifications you've done to now. If you've done the award in education and training and not the certificate, then again, you're taking a step up in the way that the language you use for writing changes. It's also in line with the assessor's qualification, there are requirements. Okay, if you're going to complete the full award, then you really need to have access to assessors who are then assessing for learners, so that you can put out all the principles and practices in place. But as I said, there are different units and can be taken separately. So we're going to look at that just now, and then I'll go into the different processes as we move on. So the first one that we're going to look at is the Level 4 Award in Understanding the Internal Quality Assurance of Assessment Processes and Practices. Now, that's a big mouthful, but basically it's a knowledge-based unit setting out the knowledge that you will require to be involved in the internal quality assurance of any set of qualifications. Okay. Thing to understand about this is it's a single unit, it's knowledge based, it can be completed online dead easily, but it doesn't qualify you to internally quality assure anything. The course is more likely to be taken by people who are dealing with internal quality assurance. So if you're an assessor and you're going to be discussing stuff with the quality assurance team, it would be good for you to have it. And it's a great way to dip your toe into that if you're thinking about moving over and wearing both hats. Okay, again, it is fantastic for CPD. So the next step up from that is the award in the Internal Quality Assurance of Assessment Processes and Practices. It consists of Unit 1, which is understanding the knowledge side, and Unit 2, which provides the skills, where we check the skills as well as the knowledge, and you build a portfolio of evidence again of actually carrying out the internal quality assurance process. So you need to be involved in this, and you need to be working in that job role to be able to evidence it. And we're going to put together a portfolio of evidence, and there will be required site visits and stuff like that for that as well. Thing to understand with that is this is the minimum requirement from awarding organisations for anybody looking to internally quality assure the courses, and this is becoming more and more prevalent through the entire industry. And the final course that's available is a Level 4 certificate in leading internal quality assurance of assessment processes and practices. And this is the one, again, like the CAQA, this is the whistles and bells. This course is the most highly regarded one. It's the one that stands you out from ordinary run-of-the-mill internal quality assurance. It qualifies you to be a lead IQA. Not only are you going to be assuring the standard of the assessment process which is going on, but as a lead internal quality assurer, you'll be responsible for taking management decisions. You'll be looking at writing policies and procedures, and we're going to discuss all that in the Level 4 lead qualification. This is the one that everybody really looks towards, but if you're not in the right role, you won't be able to evidence it. The key to any of the TAQA qualifications is that you have the experience and the access to learners to actually be able to fulfill the requirements and to build your portfolio. As always, if you've got any questions, I know this was a long video and you might want to watch it a couple of times to see what, and maybe I've not hit all the boxes, but if you've got any questions, give me a shout. Name's Greg. I work at GSG Training. Our website is www.gsgtraining.co.uk. Give me a shout. Advice is always free, and hopefully I can guide you to where you need to go. Thanks for watching. Bye.